Thank you, Zia, Riaz, Aamir, for being part of Conversations at Jazz. Zia and Riaz, if I could start with TCF first. And Riaz, तो आप हमें बताएंगे कि what was it like जब आपने Jazz की, particularly Jazz Cash की team को contact किया to help distribute rations?
We initiated our program on the 1st of April after taking approval from the board. And the intention was to reach out to around 250 communities. And we were looking at a period of something like 3.5 months to be able to do that. Reaching out to you, we don't know anything really material about mobile banking, and for your team, literally, for the Jazz team to handhold us to be able to navigate this through on how to structure it, how would cash transfers work, what kind of information would you require on CNICs, really, walking through the whole journey on what would be needed from around on the ground teams. With your help, putting those templates and structures in place to be able to collect that data and to go into what were very, very difficult neighborhoods. Close this story out to say that as of yesterday, we just completed our 250th community with your help. We've reached out to over 45,000 families in this space. What was initially planned as, say, about a 3.5 months target, we've achieved that in 2.5 months.
So if you could speak to how this crisis created an enablement of the speed of digitalization to become faster as well.
So I think one big upside of this is an introduction to 45,000 families of what mobile banking is like, and then the ability to turn them into mobile wallet customers. And that's something we're progressing on.
Aamir, if I can take your comments on what you heard. So what does it feel like to hear that about your team?
Thank you very much for that endorsement, Zia. The way you have, articulated what the problem statement was, how Jazz Cash came in, how it had a positive impact on people, how this was the first introduction for them to anything digital, how it made sustenance possible, especially under the time of lockdowns. These are all the things that we discuss in terms of our PowerPoint problems, and we know that we have solutions, but it's remarkable that there are teams like yourselves, of course, abled by some of our colleagues. But I think that what you've been able to accomplish is remarkable.
Yeah, I wanted to come to you. You have seen that people respond to the brands of both TCF and Jazz quite substantially. In fact, soon we will be entering into an MOU with TCF where about 100 million will be distributed for education technology or blended learning. And we have 4 programs that we've worked with your team. थोड़ा सा scale बता दीजिएगा TCF कितना बड़ा है? And then what will this induction of funds and support that Jazz is going to give do? Not in terms of numbers, but in terms of the technology and innovation.
TCF started about 25 years ago. We started with 5 schools and 700 kids. And today we have in excess of 1,650 school units. And a total of 266,000 children are enrolled currently. We have 40,000 alumni on top of that who have graduated from grade 10 from this network. The Economist calls it perhaps the largest network of international schools in the world. So TCF has become a citizen-led, citizen-owned kind of platform. So with the kind of support that Jazz is providing, there are a couple of things that we are tackling. One is obviously to pilot at a very large scale. 30 to 40,000 kids will actually have access to technology in their hands. Also, there is a very large aspect of, getting the computing and digital literacy for the entire system to a higher level. And obviously, some of the skills, the very basic skills that today's workplace requires. So sort of things like Excel, Microsoft Word, being able to use the internet. All of that combined is stuff that we will unlock with the kind of support that you guys are providing.
So with our partner, what are some of the things you're looking at, Aamir?
I think the opportunities are immense, but I'm not oblivious to the challenges. And I think, companies or organizations like TCF have a much better understanding of the on-ground challenges. We don't have a Khan's Academy, but Jazz in its own contribution has just launched an app called Jazz Padho. We are also supporting the access for students through our Taaleem bundle. So we are making certain components of online learning or EdTech. EdTech is a much bigger thing, but we're making certain of those components slightly more palatable and accelerating them, right?
So what are some of the granularities of working with technology on ground?
The role of technology needs to be aligned to the context that you're dealing with. So context Pakistan ka, you're absolutely right, 23 million children out of school, so there's an issue of access. अगर हम TCF की जिन communities में हम काम करते हैं, अगर वहाँ जाएं, तो वहाँ पे अमूमन वही इलाके हैं जहाँ हुकूमत के बहुत सारे स्कूल हैं, जहाँ बहुत सारे low-fee private schools हैं. And the struggle for all of these schools will be firstly bare minimum technology and human resource. And the last thing I would add to that is that we at TCF believe in open source. So whatever we are putting together, the whole curriculum will be available in the right language with the right teacher guides to anyone in Pakistan who wants to replicate.
Zia, if I can take that to you and talk about the philosophy of TCF.
We run on this philosophy called care and growth, which essentially means that my purpose is to enable and personally care for the growth and well-being of my team and so forth. And it eventually filters down to the child. 5% of our 12,000 teachers today were TCF students. So that is an incredible metric.
How does a leader, either in government or anywhere, combine these things? Academia, bricks and mortar, scalable technology, and what are you thinking? What's inspiring you when you're hearing these stories?
As of right now, our biggest opportunities are twofold. A mobile phone in every hand. Now, once you have a person with a smartphone and a decent internet connection, I think you can just let it be. A lot of good things will start happening automatically.
So when you talk about the digital future, Aamir, how important is collaboration?
So collaboration is important. When you are actually digital, you can do crowdsourcing, you can open your APIs. So, it's the collective intelligence in a society or in a community that you rely on, rather than the brilliance of one organization or one group of people.
So my last question to all three of you, and I'll start with Aamir. What would your recommendation to, the people, the movers and the shakers of education and technology and decision makers?
So one of those things would be, while we want to increase and bring more people in, I would request the government to actually have some quality standards and audits where we can actually at least feel comfortable plus minus 10%. When you graduate, कम से कम आप 3 पेज का ऐसे लिख सकते हो किसी ज़बान में. अगर आप देखें पाकिस्तान में पहले 500 स्कूल्स या यूनिवर्सिटीज़ में कितनी हैं जो पाकिस्तान से निकलती हैं. आई थिंक उस चीज़ के ऊपर हमें फोकस करना पड़ेगा. दैट वुड बी माय रिक्वेस्ट टू पार्लियामेंट.
Riaz, आपका क्या होता? What would you bring if you were given this wide canvas to ask for anything?
What Aamir talked about essentially is to get the minimum benchmarks right when it comes to the basics. And absolutely agree with that. I'll simply add on to that. The second big thing, once you get the benchmarks right, is be patient. Education has a long gestation period. It's not the flip-flop policy that you say, we'll change this landscape, 100 दिन में हम ये बदल देंगे और 6 महीने में हम ये कर देंगे. Education doesn't happen that way. So get your basic benchmarks right, do those basics well and right, and do that with patience consistently, because through that results will come.
Yeah.
जी हमारे एक फाउंडर हैं जो कहते हैं कि बड़ा सिंपल है. जिस तरह आपने पाकिस्तान में एटमी प्रोग्राम को सेक्रेड और सैक्रोसैंक्ट बनाया हुआ है, उसी तरह अपने 50 मिलियन बच्चों के फ्यूचर को भी सैक्रोसैंक्ट बना लें. And don't let anyone mess with it. So frankly, it has to not do with just resources, but mainly intent. Do we intend to prioritize the future of these kids, which is not different from the futures of our institutions or the future of our government, of our economy, of our army? Everything is linked to this same human resource.
Aamir, I'd like you to thank our guests and conclude for me, if you can.
You kept on asking me, Aisha, what inspires you. I actually got inspired through this conversation. I'm delighted that we have partners like TCF who can continue to inspire us and hundreds of millions of Pakistanis, and indeed hundreds of millions of people around the world. So thank you very much, both of you. And Aisha, to you also.
Thank you, Aamir. Thank you, Aisha. Thank you, Jazz. It's been a fantastic collaboration so far. Thank you.
दुनिया को बता दो.